Good morning and welcome. Can you hear me well? Yeah, it was just announced to me that unfortunately our hearing devices are out this morning, so I will do my best to talk as loud, but feel free to wave your hand if you're struggling hearing me. Well, good morning and welcome. My name is Kate Johnson, and I will be your service coordinator today. Our minister, Leanne Dunkley, will be giving the reflection, and we have Tatum here providing childcare. Thank you, Tatum. Before I begin, let me remind you to take this time to please silence your cell phones. We will begin our service with announcements. There's a lot going on per usual at North Chapel, so if you haven't already, please take a moment to look over your order of service to read about the upcoming events and notices. You may also visit our website for a complete list. If you are visiting today, we would love to have you sign our guest book at the back of the church. After the service, we welcome you to head downstairs to the social hall for coffee hour, where you can visit one another over a cup of coffee and light refreshments. I have one announcement. This Friday is the last day of school, and we are having our second annual end of school celebration on the back lawn of North Chapel. Yeah, I know my kids are excited. School gets out around 11:45, and we will start heading over here. So roughly around noon to 3, and even though it's for us families, everyone is invited. It's a really fun event, and it's a great way for you to see familiar faces and new. I have a few announcements that were given to me. I guess tonight at Pentangle, there is kind of the conclusion to Pride Week, and it's showing the film Outliers and Outlaws, and the film is from 5:30 to 6:30, but the doors open at 5, and there'll be drinks ahead of time. You can find on the way out in the back table flyers about everything that's going on with our schools. Now is not the time to dive deep into this, but there's a lot at risk for our schools, and now more than ever we need our voices to be heard. So this brochure or flyer gives you kind of an outline of how you can do that, and if you have any more questions, you can see any one of us parents afterwards. Joy, this month's worship theme. Joy is about feeling good in the moment, right now. Some would define joy as an intense momentary experience of positive emotions. It's not a state of mind you can choose to leave with each day like happiness. Rather, it's an intangible feeling that comes from tangible things we come in contact with every day. Now, I, for one, wholeheartedly welcome this theme and hope you welcome it too, because I imagine there may be many of you here today who feel how I feel as of late, and that is simply that we are feeling a lot. So much so that we might find our emotions and our senses bottlenecked, stuck and dulled as a result of a nervous system coping mechanism, and we can not only start to fail at recognizing joy when she so graciously chooses us, but we can also fail to spread her. You see, joy is hidden in plain sight all around us all the time. Joy doesn't need to be fancy or obnoxious. Joy thrives on simplicity. It's that rainbow that came after the recent rains, and the beautiful rainbows from all the pride flags throughout Woodstock. It's the sprinkles adorned on top of the bright pink scoop of ice cream my daughter recently devoured. It's that light and fluffy feeling you get when on a hike and you spot one of those tiny, vivid orange salamanders, and you carefully move it out of harm's way so that its fate doesn't end under the soles of the LL beans on the hiker behind you. It's letting your guard down and crazy dancing in the living room with your kids and watching the joy spread across their faces. She's all around us, joy. So let's leave here today and strive to be more vigilant. Open our senses and welcome her in. For I believe that joy is a gateway to happiness, and we sure could all use a good dose of both. I want to end these opening words with a poem written by Donna Ashworth that really resonated with me. And after the poem, we will have a moment of silence for meditation and prayer. Joy does not arrive with a fanfare on a red carpet strewn with the flowers of a perfect life. Joy sneaks in as you pour a cup of coffee, watching the sun hit your favorite tree just right. And you usher her away because you are not ready for it. Your house is not as it must be for such a distinguished guest. But joy cares nothing for your messy home, or your bank balance, or your waistline, you see. Joy is supposed to slither through the cracks of your imperfect life. That's how joy works. You cannot invite her. You can only be ready when she appears and hug her with meaning, because in this very moment, joy chose you.
We are one. I like that. Are we willing to work hard for the truth? Or should we just blindly accept what seems to be handed to us? Where's the joy in that? I would say, given the choice between, jerk, crazy, or scam, go for B. Crazy, and you'll be right at least half the time. Just so you know, I will never reach out to you from a Liberian prison, from a Turkish camp. I will never be asking you for money in any electronic form whatsoever. As you know well by now from 8 years of training, email is not the thing that I do, and it's largely for reasons connected to this kind of activity. But I will never, ever do that. And I commit to making us whole in some kind of way. And for any scammer that's out there, I'm looking at the camera right now, if you come after someone like Sarah, I'm coming after you. Good morning. Good morning and good Sunday. I hope that this new day finds you well. Welcome to this time that we have borrowed from the sky, borrowed from the earth that nourishes us, and borrowed from the stars of which we are made. I will delight in your winnings of the game if you promise to delight in mine. I will promise to delight in your winnings of the game if you promise to delight in mine. Deal? There are moments in a tennis match when the ball hits the top of the net, and for a split second, it can go forward or fall back. With a little luck, it goes forward and you win, or maybe it doesn't and you lose. Those are the words of Chris from a film called Match Point, which was made by Woody Allen. I wonder if it feels like flying to be able to rejoice in the joy of others. I suppose I should ask Amelia Earhart or Charles Lindberg or the Wright Brothers. I suppose that I should ask Jonathan Livingston Seagull, because it seems like he really knew. Good morning. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. A few years ago, this was the theme of the Pelican Reunion Conference at Star Island. Pelicans are the people who work for Star Island, the people who make the food and do the laundry and make the beds and fix the toilets, which is really important on an island. They sweep the floors, repair the windows, and they schedule the boats. The Pelicans schedule just about everything on Star Island, everything except the sunrise and the rainfall, everything except the sunsets and the prayers of the heart that appear to us as seagulls flying over the open sea towards the horizon, flying out over the edge of what we can imagine. The Pelicans have a reunion conference every year, and every year a new theme is chosen. And when all will be revealed was the chosen theme, a group of us went out to East Rock, a prominent spot on the far side of the island, a high point that overlooks the Atlantic. We were going to take a photograph of that most beautiful part of Star Island and use it to promote the conference. When we were all going to go swimming after that on the way back to the hotel. So most of us had our bathing suits on and most of us had beach towels with us. And then when we were there, the great idea came. One of us was to go to the high point on East Rock with just the towel wrapped around us and face away from the photographer and expose our honest truth to the raging sea. That ended up being the conference promotional photo. All will be revealed in due. The conference did very well. The buzz at the conference on Island was all about that picture. The buzz was about whether or not the person featured in the picture with the towel by the ocean actually had their bathing suit on or whether they only had their birthday suit on at the time. That mystery was a mystery then, and that mystery is a mystery now. Those who say don't know, those who know won't say. I am in the second category, and I will never say. I will never reveal that truth no matter what the theme of the conference is. I will only say that it is terribly important for us, be it physically or metaphysically, to stand in the honest truth before the holy. Only then will we come fully into our knowing. Only then will it become possible for our chosen conference theme to be true, that all will be revealed. If we are not honest with ourselves, how can that possibly happen? But how to prepare for this revealing, that part is up to us, and it's mysterious. We never know if we are genuinely ready for what is to come. We only know if we are ready to find out if we are ready. We only know how to stand at the door and knock. In the book of Revelations, Jesus said, "As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and I will sup with him, and he with me." Revelation chapter 3, verses 19 and 20. Jesus stood at the door and knocked. He did not know what was to come. Jesus did not know. How can we? How can we expect to know? Why do we even believe that knowing the future is possible? We don't know the future. We cannot know the future. All we can do is stand in the honest truth before the holy. There's a joke I found online about this. A new pastor was visiting the homes of his new parishioners, and in one house it seemed obvious that someone was home, but no one came to the door after his repeated knocks. The pastor took out a business card and wrote on it, Revelation 3:20, on the back of it, and stuck it in the door. The following Sunday, when the offering plate was processed after the church service, the pastor found that his card had been returned. And added to it was a cryptic message. It said, Genesis chapter 3, verse 10. Reaching for his Bible to check out the citation, he broke into gales of laughter. Revelation 3:20 begins, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Genesis 3:10 reads, "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, for I was naked." My guess this week was that joy would not produce gales of laughter, and I was wrong. That's great, that's funny, okay. So our job is to stand in the garden as authentically as we can and be as revealed to ourselves and to one another as possible without getting weird. Our job is to stand in the honest truth before the holy. How honest are you willing to be in life? I used to work for a documentary film festival called the Full Frame Documentary Film Festival, second to Sundance. It's the largest one in the country. It's in North Carolina. The theme for that documentary film festival was, how much reality can you handle? How honest are we willing to be in life? I'm willing to bet that our answers to this question vary in proportion to the levels of our satisfaction about, our degrees of comfort with, our qualities of witness of the beauty of the earth and the splendor of the skies, the beauty of the love which from our birth over and around us lies. I love simple honesty. I love the truth, which is general, somewhat vague and imprecise. I realize that the truth has become complicated in this world that we've invented, this world that we have created for ourselves, this world in which we can, each of us, lay claim to individual truths, lay claim to the truth as we perceive it. That makes life hard for us because we can't agree on truth. We've lost ready access to simple honesty, and that makes life confusing for us, which leads me to love what we have taken to calling the moment of truth, which is not vague and imprecise, but concise and succinct. I love the moment of truth because it feels like the veil comes down before us, because we are instantly unisolated, because it seems like the world reveals itself and we see things as they are, free from illusion and falsehood, free of fiction and deceit, full of wonder, full of humility, and willing to say, I want to know the truth. This is what theologian and philosopher Alan Watts believed. This was his attitude of faith. Quoting him, he said, I believe that there is a strong distinction between faith on one hand and belief in another. Belief is, as a matter of fact, quite contrary to faith, because belief is really wishing. It is from the Anglo-Saxon root leaf, which means to wish. And belief, thus stated, is a fervent hope that the universe will turn out to be thus and so. In this sense, belief precludes the possibility of faith, because faith opens to the truth, to reality, whatever it turns out to be. I want to know the truth. This is the attitude of faith. I want to know the truth. You may remember a film, a Tom Cruise film from the early 90s called A Few Good Men, about life in the military. Aaron Sorkin wrote it, Rob Reiner directed. There was a scene at the climax of the movie between Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. Nicholson plays a man named Jessup, an unapologetic Marine Corps colonel with highly questionable beliefs, dangerous wishes. Colonel Jessup passively condoned the hazing incident that happened on his watch. The hazing incident, the sort of brutal training that was delivered to one of his weakest recruits. This hazing, which is called a code red in the movie, led to this cadet's accidental death. Jessup was made to testify about it in court. He took the stand and was asked, Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red? Did you order the hazing incident? The military judge advised Jessup not to answer the direct question. The unapologetic colonel chose not to take the judge's advice. The prosecuting attorney was demanding honesty and felt himself entitled to revelation, and said with power and passion, I want to know the truth, to which Colonel Jessup responded famously, "You can't handle the truth." Tom Cruise was standing faithful at the door and knocking with passion, waiting for an answer, probably shaking and scared half out of his mind. And he got an earful. "I want to know the truth," Jessup responded. "You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world with walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for the young recruit, and you curse the Marines. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know, that this process, while tragic, probably saved lives, and my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, probably saves lives." Tom Cruise's character was asking for the truth, and Nicholson wasn't convinced in the slightest. He said, "You don't want to know the truth because deep down in places that you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. Either way, I don't give a care at all what you think you are entitled to." Colonel Jessup did not want to be questioned, but in healthy and functioning democracies, he must be questioned. Colonel Jessup did not want to explain himself and his actions, but in healthy and functioning democracies, he must. All must be revealed, for the alternative is tyranny on the spiritual level, on the political level, on the levels of culture and entertainment. Freedom from tyranny requires the same set of strengths from us, the same set of muscles in us. Rehearsing our resistance in jokes, in movies, in passages from the Bible, helps us to imagine what we are collectively up against, helps us to clarify the values that we must defend. And we must defend our values beautifully, passionately, powerfully. The alternative is unacceptable. We have accepted this as the American tradition. It cannot be otherwise. In 1755, 21 years before the Declaration of Independence, 34 years before the United States Constitution, in a letter that he wrote on behalf of the Pennsylvania Assembly to the colonial governor, Benjamin Franklin expressed that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. We preserve liberty and safety by rigorously practicing them, by fiercely defending them, not by compromising ourselves in cheapening transactions, and not by putting naive price tags on human values. I don't want to be invidious here. I'm not trying to provoke the anger of anyone. Quite the opposite. I'm asking that our collective soul grow just a little bit more wise. I'm asking us to become just a little bit more beautiful. I know what you're saying. You look in the mirror every day, and you're saying to yourselves and to one another, how could I possibly become more beautiful than I already am? See, I know you. I'm kidding. Colonel Jessup is not the enemy. He's not the bad guy, and he is not monstrous. He is not imprisonable, even as he is restrained and detained and arrested and led away by the officers of the court. He cannot be imprisoned not because of some vague illegal conspiracy that would refuse to imprison a man like Colonel Jessup, but because Colonel Jessup is an idea. He is a character in a movie. He is part of our collective imagination, and he's part of ourselves. Very deeply, Colonel Jessup is part of us, a shadow part that we don't like to talk about at parties. Jessup is that part of us that we don't like to face. So if we don't have to face it, of what are we at great risk? This is why I love the moments of truth. They force us to face what is real in us, unflinchingly, unwaveringly, and without walking away. An artist writes, "I've made love with one eye on the door. And I've left good rooms with nothing to say. I wanted to love them, but love got in the way. And so what if everything's changed? And so what if I've held out for more? I'm wild in places where I wasn't before. So go on and make a mess of me. I won't walk away. I'm ready as I'll ever be, and I won't walk away." So do we have that kind of staying power? Do we have that kind of stamina? Are we ready to see the world as it is? There are examples of a guy named Christopher Guest who directed a film called Best in Show about dog shows, which are insane and ridiculous. He went to several dog shows and tried to make a documentary film about what he saw. And he was criticized because his characters were ridiculous and unbelievable. And he laughed at the criticism. Thank you, Mimi. He laughed at the criticism because he said, "I actually had to dumb down the characters that I saw in real life." So that was funny. I remember feeling very angry at Tina Fey when she was imitating, Tina Fey is a comedian, I don't know if you know her. She was imitating Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live, and I just thought she was being brutal. So I passed judgment a couple of days before I went and looked up the clip that she had imitated, and it was pretty, dangerously spot on, I almost wrote Tina Fey a letter being like, "I'm really sorry that someone you don't know and doesn't matter in your life was angry at you for 15 minutes for reasons that don't matter." And there's a movie called Good Night, Good Luck, which is actually on Broadway now. Good Night, Good Luck is a film, I can't remember who wrote it. It's a George Clooney project. It's about, what's his name? Edward R. Murrow, and who's the journalist who went after McCarthy in the 1950s. So the movie, because the Broadway film is active, they put the film is being reviewed again, and several people went in to look at the film and see how it's worn through time. And one of the critiques of the film was that the McCarthy character was monstrous and overly done in the film, not realizing that the filmmakers had used documentary footage. It wasn't someone playing McCarthy. It was McCarthy. So why are we so reluctant to see the world as it actually is? I think it's because we're terribly afraid of losing that moment of truth, like in tennis. I think it's because we're terribly afraid of losing and what that seems to say about us. This reflection began with a quote by a character named Chris in a Woody Allen film called Match Point. And Chris said, "There are moments in tennis where the ball hits the top of the net and for a split second it can either go forward or back. With a little luck, it goes forward and you win." Chris should know. He is a tennis pro who has seen more than his fair share of victory. He's young and handsome and ambitious, and most importantly, he is eligible. Two different women, beautiful women, pursue him in this film. That's the shiny side, but there's also a shadow. Chris is also cunning, deceitful, murderous. And most unfortunately, he is lucky. He is lucky. He gets away with the murder that he commits, which is great, so long as we agree that it's fortunate to become a murderer. If we do not agree with that, and we should not agree with that, there's nothing great about getting away with it. The scammer that Sarah described is like Chris, is a murderous energy that calls upon the near enemy of our goodness. The near enemy of our goodness. Do you know what near enemy is? The near enemy is something that looks like something, but is actually something very much not that thing. So the near enemy of compassion is pity. Can you see that? I'm looking at the bravest ones. Which is to say that I'm looking at all of you. I just started with the brave light ones. Anyway, the cost of what these scammers kill is enormous and can be infinite. For we are encouraged to weaken, lessen, soften, cheapen, compromise, devalue something that is holy within us. We are encouraged to do so by bastards, or worse. Or maybe by computer programs, meaning by no one at all. Before making this moment of truth statement about winning and losing in the game of tennis, Chris says something that's more interesting about winning and losing in the game of life. He says, "The man who said, 'I'd rather be lucky than good,' saw it deeply into life. People are afraid to face how great a part of life depends on luck. It's scary to think that so much is out of one's control. There are moments when the tennis ball hits the top of the net. Then you win or you lose. Those are the rules of the game. The cool thing about tennis, the cool thing about just about every sport, as I imagine, is that often the moments of truth are obvious. This is why sports are fun to watch. Of course, there are close calls that are not obvious, dramatic plays at the plate at well-played baseball games, photo finishes in track meets or in horse or auto races. It's obvious, with Chris's example, in the tennis game, that the ball either goes over the net or it does not. There's no ambiguity there. The tennis ball never rests for any length of time enough for referees to judge, for umpires to judge, for judges to judge. It never rests on the net. It falls to one side or the other. It's obvious. There's no ambiguity. Life is different. The winning and losing is rarely obvious. Key in life is not the crucial decision at the critical time when everything seems to depend on luck. In life, the key in life is both the ever before this moment and the ever after. How we prepare to meet the moments of truth and how we make sense of them. Key in life is who we are and who we have chosen to be and who we will become. Not simply the determinations that referees or umpires or judges or scammers deliver to us. Scripture tells us that the truth will set us free, but that isn't always true. We have to work for it. Against the odds and against the grain, we have to work for it. I suppose if the scammers are playing tennis, we're in some big trouble. But we can find out whether or not they are, because they will not be able to agree with a very simple exchange and agreement. They will not be able to be part of it. And that exchange is how we began. I will agree to delight in your winnings of the game, if you will agree to delight in mine. May we not lose attention. May we not lose connection with each other so much that we fall out of community and get hurt by our not knowing of ourselves and one another. May we stay in touch and remain pains in one another's lives. Annoyances, 14 phone calls. No, it wasn't me. Just call. Be a part of one another's lives. Let's enter into this so that we don't risk any fracture in the sacred relationships that we hold. Tender, nourish, beautiful, spectacular, precious, wise. May it be so. Blessed be.